I kind of feel like the kid that actually sucks at softball, but he still gets the trophy. So, on a really strange morning in 2006, I woke up to over 10,000 emails in my inbox. And they just kept appearing as fast as I could refresh. Click hundreds of emails, click hundreds of emails, click hundreds of emails. But before I tell you what was going on, I want to take you back to 2002 when I started a company as a freelance video guy. I had a camera, I had a computer to edit, and I was kind of a one-man show. I did all of it. If you're running a nonprofit, I guarantee you've hired someone like me before to make your video. And I did this for 4 years. I worked for a lot of nonprofits and some profits and some just whoever would hire me and give me money to make a video. And after 4 years, I realized something. I hated it. I didn't know, because no one told me that when you work for yourself, you end up working a lot more than when you work for someone else. And no one warned me about this perpetual state of half playing and half working that I would always be in. Like, I could take off at 3 in the afternoon if I wanted to watch a couple of Lost episodes, which I did a lot, but then I would have to stay up Saturday night and Sunday night while my friends were hanging out because I had something due on Monday morning. And then there's all the administrative stuff no one told me about, all of the selling and the accounting and the invoicing and all that stuff. But that wasn't the real problem. The problem for me was that even when it worked and even when I was making money, I was deeply unsatisfied with what I was making. And I was exhausted by creating these little stories for other people that were great stories and important stories sometimes, but I really just didn't care. And I was having to pretend like I cared when I was around my clients. And I was tired of it. So I took a risk, and I quit. I just stopped. For a whole month, I had a little bit of savings in my account, and I just stopped taking clients. I even quit some activities I was doing that weren't related to work. And I literally, for a month or so, just did nothing but hang out with friends. And I laid on my back on my bed, and I stared at the ceiling, and I wondered what I was gonna do with my life. And eventually, I got so bored that I picked up my video camera again, and I just started playing with it. And I had some friends that were Young Life workers at a high school nearby, and they needed me to help them make some funny videos to show at the high school club meetings, and so I would help out. And then I did that some more, and then I became a volunteer, and then we started making all these little sketch comedies, not even for Young Life, but just for ourselves because we wanted to, and it was fun. And it got to the point where we decided we would just be a sketch comedy troupe. There were 4 of us. We called ourselves Don't Be That Guy Films. We had a little logo. It was a pair of socks with sandals on them. And we just made little shorts for the fun of it. And then we had this one idea that really caught our attention because we spent hours, I remember we were like in my parents' living room or something, and we were cracking up. It was called Things You Can't Do When You're Not in a Pool. And we were just cracking up thinking about like people acting out in public in the street like only the way they would act in a pool. Like all these scenes were coming to mind, we were laughing, and we thought we should like really do this one. Like let's not just run out with a camera right now and make it. Let's get some people to help us, and let's do the best job we possibly can. So I called up this buddy of mine who was an aspiring cinematographer, and he drove in from out of town. We got some other friends, and we drove into Virginia Highlands one Saturday morning and did some serious guerrilla filmmaking. Like we were in the car on the way down, just kind of sketching out storyboards and trying to block out how we saw it going. But I mean, we were taking this seriously. I mean, we went down there, we had no permits, we didn't know anything about anything when it came to properly producing film in public, but we just did it. And the process of it was just exhilarating for me. We went immediately back to my bedroom where my computer was, and we sat around and we started editing. And I mean, the other guys were there, and they were probably just drinking beer and giving me little half-hearted compliments. But I was like in the zone. This was an awakening for me. I started realizing this isn't just a fun thing on a Saturday. Like, this is what I want to do. I want to make dumb stuff with my life. And so we posted this video on YouTube. And it went viral after a couple of weeks, like overnight. And that's why I woke up to 10,000 emails and then hundreds of thousands more, because we were getting all of these YouTube subscriber notifications. And by the way, it was 2006. We didn't know what this meant. We didn't even really know what YouTube was probably a month before that. Most of you probably didn't know what it was at the time. But it was exciting because all these people were watching our video. And we went to Sonny's barbecue, like you do, for lunch that day. And I'm sitting there, and I'm just talking to Tyler, and I don't even know what we were talking about, but I look up, and on the TV, I see Tyler doing this. They played our video on the news. And so then we started getting calls from relatives and people that know us, friends, and they're like, what is this? We see this video on the internet, blah, blah, blah. And then later that night, it was on the news again. But this time, it was on CNN headline news. Like, for some reason in 2006, there was this correspondent who was just always introducing people to the latest thing on the internet, and they picked our video. So this thing was just exploding. And then the next day, we got a call from Hollywood, and then another call, and then another call. And we had TV networks and movie studios and late night producers, you name it. They were calling us, and they wanted to meet with us. And as you can imagine, I was just beside myself. I was thinking, my 11-year-old dream to make movies is happening. Like, the dream that I had that I eventually went to college and graduated and learned wasn't realistic at all. You don't just get to make movies. That's silly. It was like really gonna happen. And so we packed our bags. That's me and Tim and Tyler and David, and then our other friend, Brian, who I don't even know why he was there. He just kind of butted himself in, and he told us he was our manager. So like, we didn't have the heart to say no, so we let him come, and we cashed in all of our frequent flyer miles. We found a friend of a friend who lived in LA, and we stayed with him, and we took all of these meetings, and we took all of ourselves there. We even made these little press packets, handmade ourselves, with a DVD with our videos, and for some reason, we thought it was really funny to sign them like high school yearbooks. I don't know why, but that's what we did. We thought it was really funny at the time. And the meetings were flattering. These people loved us. They thought we were so funny and so talented, and they would just build us up and build us up. But then every single time they asked us this question that we didn't expect. They would ask us, so, what's next? Like, we don't really know what to do with internet videos. And so, you have any ideas? We flew here, we came, that was the question we wanted to ask you that. What do you mean? And then we would leave these meetings with nothing. But that's okay, because we had more lined up, and we only needed one, right? So maybe the next meeting would be the one. Maybe it'd be the next one. But then after 2 days, we ran out of meetings. And there we were with no money. Actually, that's not true. We had $600. I forgot to tell you. We did sell things you can't do. You're not in a pool to some sketchy network that guarantee you doesn't exist anymore. And they gave us $600. So we had that, but we had no more opportunity than what we had when we left. But we kept our head up, and we thought, come on, this is just the beginning, right? We're gonna be back out here in 2 weeks. They're gonna keep calling. We're gonna get the movie deal. We're gonna get the agent. It's just a matter of time. You know what we should do with our success? We should celebrate. So we went to this restaurant that we thought was so Hollywood. All 5 of us, 2 of the wives, and we just put on our nicest clothes that we owned at the time. And we thought we were so Hollywood. It was the Palm, which is actually a chain. There's 2 in Atlanta, but we didn't know. So we just went there and we ordered 3 bottles of wine and we ate steak dinners and we were just big time. And then we got our bill for $600. So in case you don't see what's happening here, let me recap. 4 guys from Lawrenceville, Georgia, who don't really know much about anything. have a little bit of success. We go out to Hollywood, which is like the pinnacle of success if you do what I do. Nothing happens, and then we spend every dime we have, and we leave with nothing. And that's not even the end of the story, because the next day, we regrouped. We had 3 or 4 hours before we had to head to the airport. So we found this restaurant, and we sat around this table, and we had pens and paper, and I think it was one of those places you could write on the table, and we were plotting out what was next. We started talking about what we were gonna make and how we were gonna make it and where we were gonna put it and whose role was gonna be what, which turned into a conversation about how much value each person brought uniquely to our team, which turned into a conversation about how we were gonna split the money we hadn't made yet, which turned into an argument, which turned into all of this insecurity coming out, which turned into lots of confusion and even more questions. And then a year went by and we didn't make a single video. That dinner that we thought was celebrating our success, we didn't even know we were actually celebrating the end. That was it. And I call this story 4 comedians who took themselves too seriously. And the reason I decided to tell this story to you is because I know in this room, there's a lot of idea people, a lot of dreamers, a lot of entrepreneurs, artists, problem solvers, people that want to do something and make something that's significant and deeply satisfying and authentic. That's what you want to do. But I also know, because I'm one of you, that it is very easy as someone who wants to do something deeply satisfying and meaningful, and certainly more meaningful than making a bunch of internet silly YouTube videos. As those kinds of people, it's very easy to take yourself and your dream far too seriously. It's easy to obsess so much over how you're going to expand into the future that you forget the most important thing, which is enjoying the process in the present. It's easy to start comparing yourself to people who are doing similar things, but maybe a little bit bigger and better than you are. It's easy to start overanalyzing how you're gonna bring in the money and who's gonna do what and how you're gonna grow your platform. And then you start to get discouraged and things can get dismantled. And before you know it, you forget why you're even doing the thing that you were doing. Because at one point along the way, it was the thing you wanted to do. It was the fun thing to do before you got obsessed with your dream. Dreams are great. The present is better. And here's the catch-22. I wholeheartedly believe this. I believe that when you obsess over expanding into the future, you risk enjoying the process in the present. But also, when you're not enjoying the process of the present, you actually risk expanding into the future. See, that isn't the end of our story. Fortunately, as a lot of you know, sometimes in life you get a second chance. You get an opportunity to learn from your mistakes and do things differently. And 2 years later, I regrouped with just one of the guys. See, I wish I knew the story of 4 guys who made some stuff and had a lot of fun and went to Hollywood and it meant nothing, but they came back and they just kept making what they wanted to make because it's what they loved doing. Maybe they had to get other jobs, but it didn't matter because they still found time and resources to do the thing that they knew they wanted to do. Maybe one of them had to keep doing corporate videos or whatever. I wish I knew that story, but I don't, because we, like that, got way ahead of ourselves and way obsessed with the future that didn't even exist yet. But we regrouped. Tyler and I, we kind of rebranded. We started calling ourselves Tripp and Tyler. The other guys kind of went off and did their own. I mean, it didn't make sense. If we were going to call ourselves Tripp and Tyler, it didn't make sense to include them, right? So we started our own thing, and we just found ways to just keep making the stuff that we loved and keep putting it on the internet. We just kept looking for ways to do it. And we ended up having more viral videos. We made one about conference calls and what it's like. Thank you. Thank you. We made a video about things that you would never, ever hear anyone say. We made a video about a 1-for-1 campaign where you buy a smoothie machine here and some poor kid in Africa gets a smoothie machine. We made a video about a Christian dating site called Christian Tingle because God can use the internet too. We ended up growing our channel to over 200,000 subscribers, and as Jeff said, we, to this day, have over 60 million views, and brands are now working with us, and we're actually getting paid legitimate money to make the stuff that we want to make. And guess what? Hollywood called back. We got our agent. We got to work in television. I got to move to LA for 2 years and start a production company, and we got to expand, but we just kept doing the thing that we wanted to do. And we stayed so committed to making the thing that we knew from the beginning was the thing that we wanted to make. We even got to partner a year ago with this pretty famous late night producer to create a late night show of our own. And we took it around and we pitched it to like all the broadcast networks and some cable networks. And in case you noticed, it didn't sell. We don't have our own late night show. But guess what? We don't care, because this isn't the prize anymore. Like this thing out here, this expansion, it's not what we're in this for. The prize for us is getting to do the thing that we love to do with the people that we love to do it with for the people that we care about. That is the prize. So let me ask you this question. What is the thing that you should be enjoying, but you're not? Because you're so obsessed with expanding into the future. There's something for some of you. I know it to be true. Look at the person next to you. Turn to your neighbor, and I want you to say these words. I can't stand it when the guy on stage makes me turn to my neighbor. Guys, please identify what that thing is that you know that you should be doing no matter what it costs you, and keep doing it, and don't get obsessed with expanding in the future, because you might risk your opportunity to expand in the future. And when you do it and you don't see how it works out and you're not getting the Twitter followers that you thought or the funding that you thought, whatever it is, if it's making videos, if it's making socks for less fortunate kids, if it's making spreadsheets for a nonprofit organization, whatever it is, please keep doing it. And then when it doesn't work out, keep doing it anyway. Thank you.